Hello, Heinz. What are you up to today, man?
Not much. Just talking on a podcast with Jake. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Yep, that's about all that's happening today, isn't it? It's big Super Bowl weekend. You doing anything fun for the big game?
I haven't seen the email come through. I hope it does, but there's usually a big prop bet pool that happens. So I gotta check. I gotta check my spam and all that kind of stuff and see if that comes through. Because you got to pick like how long does the national anthem last?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What color does so and so wear? At the halftime show. Different things like that. So I gotta check. I gotta check my email for that.
You gotta win the big bucks. Yep.
Yeah.
I never win those things. Like I'm always like super close, but no.
No.
No. Well,
No.
you gotta keep checking your email for those constant updates. So
Yeah.
hopefully it comes through. Hopefully it comes through.
One quick question for what does spam even stand for? Like we now have this thing called email that we all worry about all the time, and it's always like going off on your phones and stuff.
Sure.
And then we have a folder called spam. What spam? Like the meat? What is that? What's it even mean?
I have no idea what it stands for, or is it an acronym? Like I have no idea. I just always thought it was that delicious salty canned meat that you eat with eggs every so often, and then you crash for the rest of the day because your sodium intake was, what you should be eating in about 2 months.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Maybe that's something I can look up on Google. Then again, what does Google stand for? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I have to look it up on the old Google machine, the oogly googly.
I gotta Google just to find out what Google really means. Wow.
Right, there you go.
Yep. Isn't that crazy how things have just changed like that? Like we're so reliant on like these things that weren't around even 10 years ago, but now it's like dictates our entire day.
Right. Yeah. Even right now, like we're sitting on Zoom. I prior to the pandemic, I had roughly heard of Zoom and what it was. Like I'd use like FaceTime and things like that. But look at how powerful this is that we can, we're half a country away from each other and we're sitting here recording a stupid podcast. It's so easy.
True.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
If dum-dums like us can figure it out, like why aren't more people doing this?
Yeah, exactly. If we can do it, anyone can do it. We should talk about that on the pod, like the internet, like how it changed the world. Because we're of that age where we remember when there was no internet.
Oh yeah.
And when the internet finally came on and you had those old AOL CDs that you got in the mail all the time for like 10 free hours of whatever on the internet. We should just talk about how it's changed the world.
All right, let's do it. Okay. Well, let's hit the music and we're going to come back and talk about the internet. And here we go. Back to the music. I should have installed a little sound bit right there of the old dial-up connection that happened on our computers. Oh, that's a missed opportunity. Dial-up. Here, I'll do it right now.
And you have to have the where it like cuts out on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the worst part was back in the day when it was true dial-up and did it over the telephone. Someone in the house would pick up the phone and you lose your connection just as you were illegally downloading a song on the internet, just as you're like halfway done and you're like, oh,
yeah,
can't listen to that anymore.
Yeah, it was usually just me sitting there looking up pictures of guitars.
Yeah.
Guitars at the time that were like $150 that were grossly out of my budget because I made $5.40 an hour at the local grocery store.
Yeah. That's minimum wage at one time was down that low. Not that it's crazy high now, but yeah. $5 an hour was working man's wage back in the day.
Yep. And if I bought a sandwich on my break. Well, that was almost 2 hours of work. And I did it every day.
Yeah. But isn't it crazy how like the internet has just changed everything? And not just like the internet like wired into your house, but even like I consider like cell phones now. I mean, that's the internet too. It's connected to where someone can ask you a dumb question and you go, I don't know. Let's look it up right then and there. It's just added almost, I don't know, kind of an extra burden, but yet it also made a lot of things so much easier out there.
Right. Like I even remember the day when we first started getting, I think it was just prior to smartphones, iPhones, we had those like BlackBerry things. I remember I was sitting at a Colorado Rockies baseball game and we wanted to know the score of another baseball game that was happening. And I think my brother-in-law was like, oh, can you look it up on your BlackBerry? Like, does it have that function? I was like, I don't know. Let's find out. Yep. And within like 30 seconds, I had the score. Like, oh my, I have a computer in my hands. I can look up stuff on the internet. Holy crap. This is a game changer. I'm going to be just glued to this little device all the time.
I got to credit my uncle. He had the first BlackBerry I ever saw, and it was in the early 2000s. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, well, it's a BlackBerry. I have to have it for work or whatever, so I can check my email. He goes, but honestly, what I use it for the most is when I go to happy hour at the bar and it's like a sports bar or whatever, and we sit around and talk bar trivia. We're able to prove each other right or wrong with this thing. That's really what it's for. It more or less is just using it for trivia type things.
Yep. And it's still used very much in that capacity.
A lot. And like, if you think about it, the internet today has basically taken completely out wired cable and even telephone in people's houses. Like no one really gets, I mean, some people do still get hardwired cable television or even I don't have a telephone wire in my house. No. They don't exist.
When's the last time you had a landline?
When I lived with you in Sioux Falls.
That was a long time ago. Oh, wow.
That was a really long time ago. And we thought it was such a great deal because we got one high definition TV receiver, local phone and cable for $100. And we thought, man, we're living. We are living. One TV has high def or digital, whatever it was called back then.
Yeah, it was a big deal, man. It was a big deal to us.
Yeah. And nowadays we all have Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, all those type of apps that you can watch different like video and stuff right on your phone. They're right on your tablets. They're right on your computers. And even sadly, cable television, air quotes, now comes through apps like YouTube TV, DirecTV Stream, which I'll add are like the greatest things ever because you can now watch TV at work extremely easy with unlimited streaming on your phone and maybe stealing Wi-Fi from like the company next door that doesn't have it password protected.
Sure.
But just being able to do that, you can watch anything you want all day long at work and keep yourself entertained.
I know, right? Like this morning, I got up super early to watch a soccer match that was happening in England, but then I had to come to my music studio towards the end of the match. I was like, oh no, I'm going to miss it. No, I just turned off my computer. I pull it up on my phone so I could watch the last couple of minutes as I walked to my car. Like, as a kid, that would have been mind blowing. Like that technology is possible. Like I still can't even entirely wrap my brain around it.
I would have got nothing done because it would have just been nonstop, like watching sports, watching whatever Sports Center back when Sports Center was like good and relevant. It would have been going like sitting in classes when I should have been paying attention. It would have been terrible.
Yeah, it would have been terrible. Really bad news.
But the big downside of everything now being through the internet, especially on the entertainment side, the sheer panic and desperation you have when it's slightly slow and you see that spinning wheel of death, or even worse, when the internet is down and you actually have to go do the old unplug of your router, your Wi-Fi, or whatever for 10 seconds and plug it back in. Like you're just, praying that internet will come back on because you just absolutely have to watch whatever TV show you got to watch.
the rage that happens in my brain when the internet goes out. What am I going to do?
Yeah. You're almost to the point of like panic. Like, oh my goodness, what's going to
What
happen?
am I going to do?
Yeah.
Read a book? Psh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you think about it, the internet has really put the beat down on our friends at the United States Postal Service, because when's the last time you sent a handwritten letter?
A long time ago. I think some people still send holiday cards, things like that, but I haven't sent a handwritten letter since, probably grade school when I had a pen pal in New York.
Yeah, I even to mail something feels real nostalgic. Like it's a big deal to like go buy that stamp that you just don't want to have to buy two of them, because you're not going to have a use for that second one, but you buy two anyways because they make you. And then you put that stamp on that letter and you're like, God, this is what it felt like in the 50s. And then you kind of walk up and put it in that slot and go, I hope it gets there. I could have just paid that bill online or emailed them, but I trust the United States Postal Service.
I know. I still have one bill that I have to pay like every 3 months that I still have to write out a check and put it in an envelope and address it and go find a mailbox to put it in. And if I don't have stamps, I have to go find a place to buy stamps because there's no post office around. It's just whole thing. It's just like, get your system up to date so I can just go boop, boop, boop and pay it.
The internet's even kind of killed the old classic checkbook. I mean, I can't think of the last time I actually got a like pay check. Now it's just like automatically put into a bank account. Or even the last time I really like sat down and wrote multiple checks in the matter of like a month. I think I might write 2 or 3. And it's like, why do I have this entire book of these things? Like my address changes faster than I go through a book of checks.
Right. You remember back in the day when you had to take like a high school level business class and they had to teach you how to balance a checkbook? What a waste that was now. It's so pointless. Just have instant online bank. You don't have to balance crap.
Yeah. Or even worse, nowadays that teacher got replaced by something called QuickBooks or Quicken. That's it. Yeah. You just type in the number and that tells you how much money, whatever, is sitting there. Or you get online and you just see how much the bank tells you have and you just trust them, right? We trust them all, right?
Right. Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. But in defense of the United States Postal Service, our friends at FedEx, UPS, all the different shipping companies, we are buying way, way more stuff online than ever.
Oh, yeah.
And we still need to get it shipped to us. So we still rely on them quite heavily.
I know. I have a package arrive at my front door at least every day.
Are you able to remember even what's in each package? Because I'm having trouble nowadays. So I'm going, wait a minute, what is this? Where's this from? What could it be?
Yeah,
and then you open it and you're like, oh yeah.
I ordered that like 3 days ago. Totally forgot about it because you hit order and then just boop out of the back of your brain.
Thank you, internet.
Thank you, internet. Yeah, shopping is super changed. Like you can now get like groceries. Like we don't have a Costco membership, but we just had a bunch of stuff delivered to us from Costco yesterday. I think that's great. I can just get groceries now. You can get takeout food. If you need a certain set of nails, order it up. It'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah. That's one of the best things that happened with the pandemic is the whole food delivery through the internet. Because there's nothing better than seeing a huge line someplace and then you just walk in, grab your bag, walk out, no questions asked. It's just all good. And you go home and eat your buffalo. You go home and you eat your Buffalo Wild Wings. And you're like, oh, this is great. This is the best. Thank you, internet.
Oh yeah, you can order your Starbucks ahead of time, so it's just you don't have to go through the line. And you can customize your whatever you get, and then you just walk in and it's just sitting there with your name on it. And they're like, "Hi," and I'm like, "Thanks, bye, see you tomorrow."
Yeah. For years, I was a drive-through Starbucks guy, and then literally 6 months ago, I went into one because I was meeting someone for a meeting or whatever, and I could not believe. There had to be in the time I was there for 45 minutes, 150 of those mobile orders. They were just nonstop putting stickers on cups, making drinks or whatever. Yep. And it was like, wow, they really are killing it. Absolutely killing it with that mobile ordering.
Right. Yeah. It's funny when you go into one, you actually see people going through the regular line. It's like, huh, do you not know about this? You get the little rewards. You like, buy 5 or 6 of them and you get a free one.
Yeah, you could have ordered like 15 minutes ago, bopped in, grabbed it, bopped out, and been on your way. Yeah.
Yeah. You could have, the coffee could be gone by now.
Yeah. All right. Serious question. Is there a brick and mortar store that you used to frequent or that you enjoyed that is no longer around because of the internet?
That's hard. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I wanted to say like electronic stores are dying out like pretty rapidly. Like I used to love Best Buy, and now you go into Best Buy and it's kind of like, it's just weird. They have half the amount of stuff. It's just because they don't display a ton, because you can just go and order online and just walk in the front door, pick it up, or get it shipped to you. So a lot of those like brick and mortar electronic stores like Circuit City, that died out. Radio Shack, long gone.
Yeah. 2 of my favorite types of stores that went out and went away that I really miss. Like, and I'm not going to even say like necessarily a franchise that I miss, but number 1 is just bookstores. Not because I was a big book buyer, but it was always interesting to just walk around and actually see all the different types of books and stuff like that in there. The other one I miss immensely, music stores. Walking in and having that music blaring, and hearing all the different things and like seeing what's the number 1 album, number 2, or the singles or different things like that, new releases. Even at a Best Buy, they don't sell CDs anymore. They do sell like records because that's coming back. But I just miss the whole experience of going into a music store and just having all the different, CDs out there, the old stuff, the new stuff, all that. I just miss it big time.
Yeah. I like occasionally would go to a record store, a vinyl store, and just to kind of, get that little fix and just go thumb through all the old vinyls and things like that. That's really fun. But yeah, I mean, those places are gone.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But I'm making a prediction. That hardware, so to speak, physical music makes a comeback. Because if you really like listening to good sounding, full sounding music, it has to come through a good stereo system. And you'd know more than I just don't think the digital versions of songs are as rich sounding, as full sounding as what you'd get on a CD, as what you'd get on vinyl. And I know vinyl's making a comeback, and I'm hearing a lot of it's making a comeback because people like that rich, full sound.
Yeah.
I'm predicting at some point you're going to get, in some fashion, I don't know if it comes back as a CD, but you're going to get hardware, hard type music making a comeback.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it coming back. I don't think it'll come back super strong. Just because of like the convenience of streaming services like Spotify. But yeah, the sound quality is reduced substantially. They're usually stripped down into like MP3 format, so you do lose a lot of the sonic qualities. But yeah, I could see that coming back. Will I partake in it? I don't know. Probably not. I don't want any more clutter than I already have.
And that's one thing the internet has really helped out with. No one collects stuff anymore. I shouldn't say no one. Very few people. I finally got rid of my CD collection about 2 years ago because I was looking at it and going, these things are like taking up a bunch of space. I don't even own a CD player. What am I doing with all this? And so I sold them all online for like $0.25 a CD to one of those declutter apps or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, people don't hang on to stuff anymore either because you don't need to buy DVDs. You don't need to buy books. You don't need to buy music. It all comes through the internet. Just another way that the internet basically changed the world.
Right. Yeah. A lot less clutter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I really love about the internet is navigation. Like, how did if we had like, oh, we're going to go check out this new coffee shop or whatever, but you have no idea how to get there. You have to go and print out like MapQuest directions. Now you just like plug it into your Maps app and it'll tell you how to get there. And it'll tell you like the exact minute that you arrive too. Like that is so sick. I love that. It's so much safer too than sitting there flipping through your paper while you're trying to drive. It's
Other
great.
than people like me that try to race the GPS. So it tells you, yeah, you're going to be there in 10 minutes. You're like, no, I'll be there in 8. Just watch.
Watch this.
And yeah, watch this driving. Yeah, that's kind of a fun little game I like to play. Just see if I can beat it just by a minute or two. That's another little example of how you can find out anything.
Yeah.
How long does it take me to get wherever? Where is the best coffee shop? Where's the best, whatever restaurant? The internet has just totally opened that up. Like, you can get recommendations from pretty much anybody, or you can look up what's the best of anything at any time.
Right. Yeah. And just the amount of information that's available to learn, or if you need something quick, like last night, our kitchen sink was leaking water everywhere. So I quick look stuff up like, oh, how do I turn this off? And how do I get a plumber to come out? And like, boom, I had all this information in like 7 minutes. Plumbers on their way. It's crazy. Like, even 10, 15 years ago, like that would have been a whole process. But no, I just boom, 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 went on my way. Just don't use the kitchen sink till the plumber gets here. Done.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you had a teenager running around the house, you could have basically said, hey, get on YouTube, tell me how to fix this sink. And they'd have been like, oh yeah, here's a video. Let's just watch it for 10 minutes. And you'd probably have a whole new sink installed, and you'd have just like done it and whatever and been all happy. But it's just amazing what you can get off of just simple things like YouTube.
Right.
Or, learning how to play guitar via someone teaching you on the internet. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just wonderful how like the internet has streamlined life, just made things so much more convenient and easy. So much information is just at our fingertips. It's really astonishing to see. This is going to sound kind of mean, but it's still astonishing to see how stupid some people still are.
that is one thing too. It shows the best and the worst of humanity all at one time.
Yeah. And that's a huge negative about the internet, is the, stupidity now has a voice and anyone can say anything on the internet. And sometimes the dumbest voices get the loudest, and people aren't afraid to hold back because there's really no consequences. Do or say whatever you want on the internet, because there's no one there to tell you can't. And so it's pretty wild. It's just all ranges of just nastiness can come out of the internet. So that's a huge, huge downfall.
The only thing that really controls some of the content on the internet is the fact that deep down inside, when you do that and it posted on the internet, it very well could be there for eternity.
Right. Yeah.
They are able to pull a lot of stuff and find it from way back when.
Yeah.
And it's like
years and years ago. Our private lives are way more public than they used to be. Like, something that you did or said 15 years ago can come and just bite you in the behind and impact your job and impact your marital status. It can impact everything. It's crazy. And things you could get away with back in the day, you cannot get away with anymore. And some people have learned that the very, very hard way.
Yeah. Well, it can even impact your day, because you can just look at the weather. Like, we're all our own meteorologists now, because you can see like the radar for where you're at and go, oh man, I guess I can't do that picnic today, or I guess I can't go outside and do that. So it can even kind of bring you down a little bit, because you're able to look at the weather and go, yeah, that weatherman is telling the truth. It's going to rain today.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you think the internet will eventually someday replace schools, education, whatever you want to call it?
I mean, I feel like not replacing, but it's streamlining it to a certain extent. Like, I go to a music school that's based in Boston, and I can do it all from my comfy, cozy little studio here in Portland, Oregon. Like, that's wild to me. And it's purely online, it's just, so I think it's streamlining things, and I think it's going to provide a lot more access to people that didn't have education before. Will it replace? Very well could. It could at some point. Like, is there really need for these huge college campuses with tons of stuff? Like, for certain aspects of it, you certainly need it. Like, sciences and a lot of the arts and things like that. Like, you can't like really run a biology lab 100% virtually. You have to have some things that are hands on, but I think it's going to continue to develop and become more efficient over the course of time. But will it entirely replace it? I don't think so, but I think it's kind of trending that way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, the internet's going to provide many, many different education opportunities for people, whether that's a particular subject you'd like to get, more into in high school. Because you can basically, like you said, you can take a class being in Kansas that's being taught in Florida. So, you can take different things in other places. So it's going to kind of give you those opportunities. Will a school building cease to exist? I don't think so, because there's still certain things that you want to go to that building for.
Sure.
Physical education, athletic activities, fine arts, all those type of things. But are you going to be going at 8 a.m. and staying until 3 and having 8 different teachers throughout the day? It might only be 2 or 3, and maybe 5 of them that you have for other classes, you've never even actually met them, because they could be completely different areas, which is good, because that gives you more opportunities. If you want to learn different things and that's not available locally or at your school, you can still find a way to take it. So I think that's good.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's wonderful. Just having more access to things. I think one thing that needs to be improved is just more universal access to the internet. I think there are things that are being done right now, to satellites being thrown up into space, so that everyone has internet access wherever they're at. That is something that's frustrating. It's you're out in the middle of the woods and you can't get a Wi-Fi signal, and your car breaks down or something like that. So to have just internet wherever we go, I think that's something that's coming very, very, very soon, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, and I guess to really wrap it all up, how did they do it back in the day when they didn't have cell phones and their car broke down in the middle of nowhere? How did they do that? How did they survive?
Yeah, you just sit there and wait for someone to drive by and drive you into the nearest telephone. I have no idea.
What do you do when you have to sit there and wait, though? Just sit there?
Because
you can't get on the phone and play games. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's how it was back in the olden days. But God, I think we kind of did a good deep dive on how the internet changed the world.
Yep. And how we are changing the world by talking about the internet.
Yeah. It'd be really cool to hear what some of the listeners have to say about how the internet changed the world, because we did not hit all the different things that have changed or gone away, gone extinct. So check out the Facebook page. Let us know what are some things we missed, because I think we missed something. We had to. Right?
Yeah. As always, we missed a lot of stuff. What we meant to say is we don't know.
Yeah, we don't. But well, that's all I got for this episode, Jake. You got anything else?
No, I got nothing else. So we'll be back next week with a fun new topic. Until then, have a safe, happy week, and we will check you later, y'all. Bye.
Bye.